Felicity. Felicity, tell us a little bit about your beginnings in coming to know the Lord, and then a little bit of that tragedy that you had going on, and then now coming out of it. Now you're like strong. You're coming out of it, and it's a whole new world for you.
So, well, gosh, I started serving the Lord when I was 8 years old. So, when my mom came to know God, I came to know God, and I went through, my years, my teenage years, and she says that I wasn't a very good teenager, but I think that I was. And, but, but I got married at a young age, and
she doesn't mind if you're really real.
And it was, it was a marriage that I had planned on being in for the long haul, but, in marriage, you can only be responsible for yourself. You can't be responsible for the other person. And so I had found out that my husband at that time was living a completely double life, and it threw me for a loop. I ended up getting a divorce, and, that wasn't part of my plan, but it happened, and it was an extremely hard time. I remember the scripture, I had it on my refrigerator, Jeremiah 29:11, that said, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you a hope and a future, not to harm you. And I remember getting that off of my refrigerator and throwing it, and I was so upset, and I said, God, you promised that you weren't going to harm me, but I feel very harmed, like you said, and I don't understand. I tried to do everything right, and I went through this horrible divorce, and, but there's also a scripture that says what the devil meant for harm, God could totally turn it around. And I ended up meeting my husband now. His name's Chris, and he had full custody of his 3 children, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. They don't have a mom. I was told at a young age that I would never be able to have my own children. So I was like, wow, this is perfect. And so my family would make fun of me. They said that I was like instant mashed potatoes. You just add water. I became an instant mom, instant family. And a year later, I ended up finding out 8 pregnancy tests later, because I did not believe it, that I was pregnant with our daughter. And
Wonderful.
yeah, and they had, in fact, I had missed my whole first trimester because I did not believe it. Me being pregnant never crossed my mind. And so, so I was laying on the bed, and they were doing the ultrasound, and they said, do you want to know what you're having? And I go, no. And everybody looked at me like, what do you mean no? Well, really, my mom goes, what do you mean no? We want to know what you're having.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
And I said, I already know what I'm having. And the doctor looked at me, and she says, well, how do you know? And I said, because my life has not gone as planned so far, and I know that God's going to give me the one thing that I've always wanted. And she goes, and what's that? And I said, a little girl of my very own. And she looked at me, and she says, congratulations, you're having a girl. And
and she's telling the truth, because when she was 14, she picked out the names. She said, I'm going to have a daughter, and I'm going to name her Daisy Rose Sparrow. And lo and behold, that's my granddaughter's name, is Daisy Rose Sparrow, after two flowers and a bird and a Mexican, Jose Estrada.
and then 3 years ago now, I've legally adopted my 3 older children. I have a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and Daisy will be 10 in June. And so on their birth certificate, it's the coolest thing ever, because where it says mom, it has my name now. And
that's very important. That's a very important thing when you're a blended family, is to do the adoption.
I mean, if that's how your situation is, that's how my situation was, because their biological mom wasn't in the picture at all. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
they're my kids. We're a family, all of us together. And
Mhm.
and it's super cool. And during that time when I became pregnant with Daisy, my husband, that's when the economy was, super bad, and he was going to work just to be sent home because there was no work. And
Mhm.
we literally had $2 in our bank account, and there was no work. And he's like, well, what do we do? And I said, he always had a dream to want to start his own business. And I said, well, what do we have to lose? $2, $2. This is the time to do it. And we started our company, Extreme Drywall Concepts. And I
Wow.
mean, God, it's amazing. We dedicated that business to God. We said it's His business, it's kingdom business, and we're a commercial construction company here in Arizona. And I mean, we're a well-known company. We took that $2 and dedicated our business to God, and now we have over 100 employees, and we do
Mm-hmm.
business all across Arizona. So, I
Wow.
mean,
That's
that's
incredible.
yeah, that's kind of our story to kind of sum it up. And we're
Mhm.
growing, expanding, and doing great things. And
Yeah.
our what we always tell everybody when they ask us, how did you guys do this? How did it happen? I always say it's God first. God
Yeah.
first. And if you keep Him first, and you're busy about what He wants you to be busy about, then He'll take care of everything. You got to trust Him. You have to trust Him, and know that He has your best. He has your best in mind. Like, you don't have to worry. And that's what we live by. God, we don't decide. One of the biggest things that we live by is we're really big about giving, and we give, and because you can't outgive God. So we make sure to do that. We put God first, and we tell everybody we have the best business partner. That's
Yeah.
God. He's our business partner,
Exactly.
and
Mhm.
that's how
Yes.
we. Yeah. So that's my story to sum it up a little bit.